Dear NHS, this is the face of somebody who is tired and chronically ill. I'm not putting on a fancy makeup, do my hair and all that kind of stuff because it's not a realistic representation of me. Since we went into lockdown with COVID, not just me, but people with my condition and many others with other chronic conditions have suffered greatly because of lockdown. I understand that the NHS is struggling and always has been struggling, to be honest. I have been in the system all my life, but particularly in the last 12 years since I was diagnosed with multiple chronic illnesses. Since lockdown began, many thousands of people around the country, if not more, but people I know certainly, have had appointments cancelled, postponed indefinitely, or just forgotten about. And this isn't acceptable at all in any way. COVID has taken over, and indeed these people need treating, but you cannot forget about these chronically ill people, because in the end they will be the ones that need your help more than the COVID people, especially when COVID is hopefully gone from this country. People with chronic illnesses rely on regular checkups, treatment, physio, so many specialities that at the moment still, now we're in October, just aren't happening. I find that absolutely disgusting. You can find so many ways. There's people I know with chronic illnesses got so many suggestions, and you don't seem to be listening or following anybody's advice. I'm absolutely appalled. You have saved me a few times, but I can count on one hand when that's happened. The rest of the time, you just let me down. You've made me worse. For example, do you remember last year when I lost the ability to walk because my back was so bad and you left me in bed for 2 weeks with no physio? Oh yeah, and remember also last year when you said that you couldn't help me at the hospital I was in because it had no speciality for what I needed and I needed to go to another hospital, but you couldn't transfer me. You didn't have the policy or the pathways apparently, so I had to discharge myself and readmit myself into a hospital. Oh yeah, and there was the time that I left that hospital to go to the other hospital, and because I couldn't walk, I was sat very much stuck in a wheelchair, couldn't walk, in a lot of pain, in A&E for about 7 hours, 8 hours, and I needed the toilet. But no one could help me apparently. No one was trained in A&E to take me to the toilet. And you didn't have the disabled facilities for that either. And then I was told by the triage nurse that I should just wet myself in front of the whole of A&E. That's really kind of you, thank you. Oh yeah, and that was that time where you nearly killed me because you didn't actually listen to what my EDS and POTS was. So when I had to go for an operation to have my appendix removed, you didn't give me fluids, and I was nil by mouth for probably about 18 hours. I became so unwell that I nearly stopped breathing under general anaesthetic, and when I woke up, my oxygen levels were very low, and my heart rate was very high, and my blood pressure was very low. But I did tell you that would happen, but you didn't listen to me. Oh, and there was that time then I had to go in and have some blood pressure monitoring done, but you gave me a dead battery pack, so when I got back to my hotel to start monitoring, I couldn't. So I wasted 2 days, and my husband wasted a whole day off work. Oh yeah, and there was that time when I really was desperate for water, but you had no water jugs. So you thought it was acceptable to give me an old soup container with water in, but the water tasted of mouldy old soup, and you didn't actually think that that was a problem. Oh, and the time where I got transferred into an isolation ward, very unwell, and nobody knew I was there for about 5 hours and no one came to see me. And also last year, now I remember, there was also the time where you forgot to get the tramadol prescribed for me, and I'd been on that for my back pain. And then I was without tramadol for 2 days, and I went into major withdrawal and wanted to kill myself because of that. That's not acceptable. And that's just in the last year. So NHS, you have let me down yet again. And this year in particular, I was referred in February to ENT. My sinuses are blocked again. Haven't heard anything. Not even a letter to say when an appointment could be or how long it's going to be. Oh yeah, and I was referred to urology for urgent bladder issues. Never heard anything. Then also I was referred to the dietitian. I was told back in June something would be done. No, not heard anything either. A family friend, he before lockdown was just about to have a major heart operation, a heart transplant, because he was very ill. Had a stent put as a kind of make do and mend type thing until his operation. He still hasn't had it, and he is so ill he cannot walk. He looks like he's dying, and you are possibly going to cause his death. Now, all the deaths from people who haven't had their treatment, either their chemo, their operations, not only will they probably die from physical issues, but also mental issues. People who, yes, there's a whole section of people who've been in lockdown and have developed mental illness because of the loneliness. But there's also the other side where people have been told they need operations and treatments. I have friends who've got Crohn's disease. They have regular infusions to keep on top of their illness. They have just been left too. They've asked and they've been told they can't go in because they're high risk. Well, of course they're high risk. They've got Crohn's. It's appalling. People are missing treatment, which is then causing them to relapse. People with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, for example, I rely on regular physio. I haven't had any since last year. And now I'm so deconditioned that it will take me at least a year to get back to how I was before lockdown. Also, my jaw has completely locked here. I'm being referred to maxillofacial, but might not get seen to next year apparently, so it's completely acceptable for me to be eating pureed food for the next couple of months. I just don't understand how the NHS can function in this way. They know people with chronic illnesses are waiting. They know people with chronic illnesses are suffering. I know lots of people of all ages who are waiting for knee and hip replacements. They're not deemed serious because it's not life-threatening, but now they've got to the stage where it is. They've become so unwell because of it. Mentally, they just want to die because of the pain they're in. And then physically, they can no longer walk because of the pain they're in. And then they're being told, well, you need to be physically fitter to have the operation, when that's through no fault of their own. I don't understand why you cannot, in each area, have one hospital that is solely for COVID. Like the entire hospital, and all the other hospitals are not allow COVID patients, and they will continue to treat chronically ill people. It's a simple solution. I just don't understand why it cannot be done. And it makes me so angry because it's not just me that's suffering. I run a voluntary group through a charity for people with my condition with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. As part of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, we have loads of comorbidities and we need these specialists. But these specialists are only just about running a video or a phone appointment. But that doesn't work if you need physio or blood tests or treatment through infusions or scans or anything like that. So when is this going to be fixed? Because when COVID's all gone, or at least is almost non-existent, you are going to have probably nearly millions by then of people in a huge backlog, people who have just given up. I'm lucky that mentally I'm coping. I have a good support network, but I have lost all trust of the doctors now. I have zero trust in any doctors just because of how badly you've let me down. So if anyone in the NHS ever sees this and shares it, that would be a good idea. In the meantime, I just hope nobody out there gives up. It's easy to, but the blood will be on the hands of the NHS. That's it.